You know, when you think about female detectives, there are a number that immediately come to mind. The first, of course, is Miss Marple. You know, she's that really annoying little old lady that was created by Agatha Christie. Then you think about female cops like Vera Stanhope from the TV show Vera, or Tennyson that Helen Mirren played in that show Prime Suspect. Or maybe you'd think about Renee Ballard, the Michael Connelly creation. But there's one that may not come to your mind unless you've read Mick Herron's Oxford novels, and that's Zoe Boem. Now, Zoe jumps out from this list. First off, she's not old like Miss Marple. And second, unlike Vera, Jane Tennyson, and Renee Ballard, she's not a cop. And that means she's not bound by police protocols and so on. And unlike Miss Marple, she's not little or nice or old. She's actually one of a kind. Now, Mick Herron's third Oxford novel, Why We Die, paints a great picture of what makes Zoe special. I'm not going to detail the plot here other than to give the basic setup. The novel starts with a scene in a hotel bar where some guy has a very casual encounter with an obviously battered woman. The scene then shifts to Zoe being hired to investigate and identify the people who held up a jewelry store. The plot involves her pursuit of these robbers and then loops back to tie in the battered woman and the guy at the bar. As you'd expect with a Mick Herron novel, the plot is pretty fast moving. It's got a lot of action and it's got all kinds of really surprising twists. The story involves a menagerie of sociopaths, psychopaths, and just plain weirdos, kind of like the creatures in that bar in Star Wars. Mick Herron gives each of these lowlifes enough backstory and enough insight into their thinking to make them come alive in all their scariness. In other words, he shows just how dangerous Zoe's world is. So the story's got a lot of deceit, treachery, violence. And by the way, it's also got a crossbow. Well, why not? And remember, in the second Oxford novel, Mick Herron threw in some ostriches. So why not throw in a crossbow in number 3? Well, let's talk about Zoe. Zoe is a widow. Her husband was a private detective, and Zoe did all the back office computer stuff that was involved in background checks and things like that. All the stuff his business involved. After he died, she just kind of naturally fell into the actual work of private detecting, and not because she wanted to or liked it, but because she's got to pay the bills. Now, Zoe is completely relentless in her detecting, just like the other female detectives I mentioned above. And as I mentioned, unlike those detectives, she isn't hemmed in by a bunch of police procedures and protocols. Now, she's got everything you think a detective should have. The ability to observe, to think, to tie clues together, and a great imagination. Her superpower is sniffing out bullshit. Now, all of that would make her pretty special, but you throw in the fact that she's also tough and physical. And very resourceful. And on top of all that, what I really like, she's pleasingly cynical. I think that reading her internal reactions to people and situations is one of the top pleasures in reading this book. Now, as far as the title of the book goes, Why We Die, the book has a number of observations about death throughout it. A couple that come to mind are, the question isn't why do we die, it's when we die. And in another place, Mick Herron observes that you never really dodge death. It's more like death just sort of ignores you for the time being, but it'll come back to get you. Now, there are a lot more that are in there that I'm just not recalling now. They all get you thinking. Now, a lot of reviewers call Mick Herron's writing stylish. I don't know what they really mean with this word stylish. When I'm reading them, I find that I have to slow down to fully absorb the somewhat unusual descriptions that he writes, and to think about the offbeat, sometimes cynical, and sometimes laugh out loud funny observations that he gives his characters. And I find I have to stay on my toes to follow the way the plot jumps around. If that's what stylish is, I'm all in. Bottom line, if you enjoy slow horses, you'll certainly enjoy the Oxford novels. And this one, Why We Die, is one of the best. I'll see you next week.